Healing for your home, the Redeemed Marriage Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to the Redeemed Marriage Podcast. We are so glad that you've joined us today. I'm Rusty. She's Heather. We're the Bryants. We are the Redeemed Marriage, and we're glad to be back with you today. If you are not familiar with us and know all of the different ways that you can be a part of our ministry, one of the things that we want to highlight and tell you about is that we are also on YouTube. So if you normally listen to this through Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you use to listen to audio podcasts, we also have a video version. And so if you want to look at us and see what we look like while we're talking, feel free to jump over there, The Redeemed Marriage. That's our YouTube channel, and we'd love for you to subscribe to us.
We have a couple of people that say they sit down with their cup of coffee and they just pretend we're having coffee with them.
So if that's you, hey, cheers. There's our coffee.
From the non-coffee drinker that you are.
That's right. But we're also working on some things up here in our studio to where we're going to hopefully enhance our YouTube recording and our production of that here in the next few weeks, maybe. Yeah. So keep an eye on that. Let's jump into today's question. Yeah. We are in Summer Short Series, and we're answering listener questions. And so we got a great one in for today. We want to share that with you guys.
All right. The question says, what are some of the little things people did for you that made a big difference during your marriage crisis?
Okay. So this one I think is, it's really important because this is going to put more of a positive spin, obviously, and share some small things, some little things that people did that really helped and encouraged us. Because I know that when we look back on our story, it's easy for us to point and pull out, the negative things that were going on during, and you guys have heard us, if you've listened to us before, you've heard us talk about some of the things that were really hard. Some of those were when we had friends that, we felt like would stick by our side, people that had nothing to do with the story and the infidelity, but just friends that we thought would be there for us. And we lost a lot of those friendships.
Yeah.
And, even our previous church that we had been at for a really long time, looking back on it, we realized what a terrible position the church was put in to have to deal with that and all of the things that were surrounding, our story at that time and what we were going through. But there was a lot of hurt that happened from that. And lots of healing has been done in those areas, but I just wanted to point out that those things, they happen, and there's other couples that are out there listening, and they're like, yeah, that's my story.
Yeah.
We lost friends over what happened. Maybe we lost our church, maybe we lost our support network, and so there's lots of hard things. And one of the things that I love about this question is that there's people out there that they've either gone through this and they can remember all of the hurt and the pain and the things that maybe were not done to them and for them. And so they want to know, how can I make sure I'm not that type, that person or that friend? And then there's other people that are listening and they're like, okay, well, maybe I know somebody that is walking through this, or, maybe I don't even know them, but how can I be sensitive to that situation if it comes up? And so really that's what our goal is for today, is just to tell you just like some small things, like things that don't necessarily get the spotlight, but like, man, these things happened to us and they were huge encouragements to us and got us through some really, really hard days. So who you want to start? I've got a couple that I can pull out, and I know you have a couple that you can pull out.
Yeah, I do. And, I'll let you go ahead and share your two, but I do just want to say that if you're one of those because I know we have listeners that have been through infidelity, who have walked through what we walked through, and people did not respond well. Either family members didn't respond well, or friendships or things like that. And I think the biggest thing for us was remembering that a lot of those people don't know how to respond. Like, they've never walked through it before. They've never thought through what would happen if. And so if anybody is listening to this, whether you've been through it or you have friends that have gone through it, or there might be a time down the road that you have friends that go through it, I would just encourage you to lean in and listen to the little things that were just so important to us, that made us feel valued, that made us feel loved and unforgotten, because it was one of the saddest, scariest, darkest time of our lives. And there were specific moments and specific things that were just a spotlight in that darkness. And we don't forget those. We don't forget them. I think for a long time, I was sad about the friendships that we had lost, of people who we were like, oh yeah, they're for sure going to stay. That's why I love Redbirds so much. Y'all have seen me, I'm sure on social media, talk about Redbirds, because it actually came about when I was going through my cancer journey. Because Redbirds, when you, the first we heard about it was at a marriage conference, and then it kind of, through my cancer journey, really became a thing. But we went to a marriage conference that Kirk Cameron was doing, and I'm trying to think of the singer's name. It's not Warren Beatty, but it's definitely Warren something.
I can't
but
remember
anyway, he wrote a song called Redbirds, and he wrote it for his wife. And it was, that you, in the winter, especially up north, when all of the birds fly south for the winter, the redbirds don't go anywhere. They stay, even when things are hard, even when things are really, really cold and there's blizzards, like they stay. And they mate for life. And so that's just a sweet picture of what marriage is that we stay in the hard times and the good times, and when things get rough, and we mate for life. And so I latched on to Redbirds at that conference. And then when I went through cancer, there was a group of girls that I taught with that were like, we're not going anywhere. Like, we're here for you. We'll step in when we need to step in, and all of that. And that's the kind of friendships that somebody going through this needs, are the people that when things get ugly, when things get hard, they will encourage you and push you towards the Lord. Now, I'm not talking about staying with people that are involved in your situation, in the infidelity or whatever. That's not it. You need distance and you need breaks from those friendships. But as far as if you're just a person that knows somebody going through this, just be an encouragement to them, because they may not act like they're in the darkest time of their life, but they are. I tried to fake it for a little while, but then when I hit desperate, I was desperate for people that would just show me what Jesus looked like.
Well, the things that I've thought about, just to answer that question, I mean, first of all, our parents never left our side, either one of us, and they didn't treat either one of us any differently. So our immediate family, just thinking about both of our moms and dads, and how much they stepped up to just help, and, to just provide help with the kids, and, allow us to go and do the retreats and the intensives and things like that. Such a huge help. But then, some of the smaller things that I thought about, I had a couple of friends that really became mentors during that time, and would invite me to lunch very regularly just to check in on me. And I just remember the darkest days, those first few days. And one of my very best friends, that had been a friend since high school, made a pretty long journey down just to sit with me. And I remember just sitting in a restaurant, like we were like, let's get out of Clinton. And I mean, he didn't try to fix anything or give me advice. He just sat there and was present. And I just, that's such a crucial thing, is just to be present. That's Don't try to give advice, because chances are you have no idea how to, what they're going through. Like, why would you even try to give advice? It's just the encouragement and the presence and being there. And so that was a big one for me. And then, I remember specifically, this was kind of cool. We had some friends that had been lifelong friends, but also college friends. And it was a couple friend of ours. And I just remember them calling us, just I mean, this was only several weeks into this, and inviting us to dinner. And not, I mean, y'all are probably going, oh yeah, whatever. But it was specifically, we don't want to talk about it. It was almost like, we just want you guys to feel valued. And they took us to what
A really nice
what we
restaurant.
believe is probably the nicest restaurant anywhere in our area. Very expensive. You know, we go there once every couple of years. I mean, but I mean, we love the place. But you know, they took us, and it just reminded us that we still had value.
Right.
And the way they did that, you know, because we were able to get dressed up and, you know, go out for a nice meal, and we didn't talk about the things that we were literally talking about all day, every day. It was just, we just want to show you guys that you're still important and you still have value and worth. And so those were a couple of things that stuck out to me. And so maybe, like I said, for those of you that are listening and you're just like, what can we do? You know, maybe those are some things. It's just your presence, and you don't have to, I've got all the answers for you. Come to me and let's talk. It's more of just, hey, I still love you. Like, you still are important. You still have value, and I'm here for you.
Yeah.
What can I do to help? Do you need me to help with the kids? Do you need me to take this load off your plate? Can I do something? You know, those are the things that were really valuable.
Yeah. And, you know, those are some of the things, like, God tells us that we're supposed to treat other people the way we want to be treated. And then also, like, that's how Jesus himself would do. He would still love and still extend grace and just encouragement. So I do remember those friends doing that, and it was such a special thing for us, like, just to feel loved when everybody else was staring. And I also remember that they didn't just invite us to their house for dinner under a roof. It was, let's go to dinner in public, and we're not afraid to be seen with you. And I think there were a lot of people that didn't want to be seen with us, especially sitting at a dinner table. And so I can just remember how special that was to me, because I felt that there were a lot of people who were embarrassed to be associated with us. And I think that's what was so special about our parents too. And, you know, as parents, we can look at that and go, yeah, it's what parents do. We love you through anything. But just to be like, we're not ashamed that you're my child. I mean, y'all are our children, that we'll do this with you. So, just to have that attitude and a Christ-like spirit. I have two as well that are just, I mean, when I look back, they are like the pillars of that time, of what meant a lot to me, and also what changed direction for us in our hope journey of, we can do this. And I've shared these before. If you've listened to every podcast we've ever done, you've probably heard these before, and that's okay. It's a sweet reminder. We were still at our previous church. I've said before that my dad was a minister of music at our previous church, and he had been there for 36 years, and I'd been there for 36 years too. And he had 6 more months before he retired when all of this happened. He had already announced it, that he was retiring, but he had 6 more months. And so Rusty and I made the decision to stay at our previous church until he retired. It was just real important to me because I wanted to support him because he had supported us. And so we were at the church. It had been, I would say, 2 to 3 weeks after. And I was sitting, our previous church had a balcony that came down to the floor. So like it was a top and then the sides came down to the floor. And I was sitting on like the 5th row of the side balcony. And my mom and dad were, of course, on stage because my mom played the piano. My dad was leading music. My sister was up there as well. And then you were up on the stage. No, you weren't up on the stage yet. But when they dismissed the children to go to children's church, you went with them. And so I stayed in the sanctuary by myself. And I mean, the enemy was having a field day with my mind during that time because it was like, yeah, you're alone. I mean, you're in church and this is supposed to be a place where you feel loved, but of course you're alone because God doesn't love you. And, I mean, it was bad. And I can remember sitting there, I mean, literally sweating. Well, after the service, we stood up to sing. Actually, that's not true. We stood up to sing right before the sermon. Mm-hmm. That's what it was. We stood up to sing right before the sermon, and it was a powerful song. It was, I wish I could remember the song, but I just remember tears were just streaming down my face. And I remember feeling so alone. And I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and a friend, not even a friend. I mean, it was an acquaintance.
Acquaintance, yeah.
I mean, I knew her.
Sure.
And she was friendly to me, but we weren't friends and or didn't have a deep friendship. And I saw her out of the corner of my eye, and I was, thinking, what in the world is she doing? Because she came down from her side of the floor balcony and went down and walked all the way through the middle aisle where everybody except like the first 10 rows could see her, and walked up my side of the balcony, stood right beside me, and put her arm around me. Mm-hmm. And continued singing the song. And I mean, tears just pouring down my face. And I remember I leaned my head over because I didn't even feel like I could hold up my head. It was just rough. And I remember I leaned my head over and kind of put it on top of her head or her shoulder because we're about the same height, and just wept. And I just remember thinking, she's not embarrassed to be seen with me. Mm-hmm. And she is loving me regardless of what everybody else thinks. She is trying to say to me, I'm here, even though you feel alone. I'm here, and I'm going to be the steady for you, the sturdy for you in this weak moment, because that's what Christ would do. That is the only reason why she did it. She didn't do it for attention. It was, I am going to put feet to the hands of Jesus, to the feet of Jesus, and this is what he would do. Mm-hmm. And so I leaned my head over, and then of course I got myself together, and I stood a little taller because I didn't feel like everybody in the whole sanctuary was staring at me and talking, that there was somebody there that was willing to love me well. And so just loving people, because I can tell you from experience, I was in the darkest, I felt like the most unlovable person on the world. Like, why would someone choose to love me after what I did? And of course, there was a huge brokenness in me. And so you weren't even there. Like, you weren't there. And that was one of the kindest things. And, every time we go to a different church now, but she's still in our community. Mm-hmm. And when I see her, I'm just like, Anissa, and I just love and run and hug her.
And here's the other crazy part of that story. We did develop a friendship with them as a couple. And even that's, I think there's something sweet about that. Those are seasons of life, because we do go to different churches now, and we rarely see them. Right. Our kids are not the same age or anything like that. So we don't get to see them very much, but they're such a huge part of our story. And not only that, most people don't even know this, but we talk a lot about how our marriage ministry formed and how it got started. And about, I would say, probably 5 years after we had healed, we've mentioned this before, so this is kind of the story to put all this together. We had 4 different couples. None of them even knew each other. I mean, a couple of them may have known each other.
Like acquaintances.
But they all went to different churches, and this was one of the couples, and they came to us and said, hey, we would love for you guys to just share, your journey, and basically share what you've learned, through your marriage crisis. Not because not that we have anything like that in our story, but we just want to know, how do we become how do we strengthen our marriage? Yeah. And this was one of those couples. Yeah. And I just think that that's so powerful, that one of the girls that was there with you in your deepest, darkest day, she was there for you, and then watched us journey and heal, and then said, hey, teach me. Yeah. Teach me. Like, that's only God. Yeah. And so really that's the first core group. We wrote a curriculum, and it was another 5 years later before we really developed the redeemed marriage, but
Right.
that was the start of it.
Yep.
And so such a cool story that she was a part of that. And then I'll let you share.
So the other story is this. My dad finished those 6 months, and we got out of Clinton, went to another church in Jackson just to get out of our area. And then we went to go watch a Bria player get baptized at another church in Clinton. And we had never been there before. And we went with the boys. We loved it. Long story short, that's our home church now, and we love it with everything in us. Well, we left that day after watching this player get baptized, and we were like, this is where we were supposed to be. Well, the very next Sunday, you were out of the country on a trip, or out of town. I don't know if you're out of the country.
No, I went to John Eldridge boot camp.
Oh, that.
Wild at Heart.
Yeah, you went to Wild at Heart. And I wanted to go back to church. Of course, the boys wanted to go back to church. And so I asked my dad to go with me because he's retired, so he can go. So, and for some reason, my mom couldn't go. So it was just me and my dad. And we sat on the back row of the church. It was when we were in our smaller sanctuary. We're in a bigger place now, but we were on the very back row, and Chip, our pastor, preached on adultery. I was like, are you
Of course he did.
kidding me? Like, kidding me. So I'm sitting there with my dad. He spends the first half of the sermon talking about why adultery is wrong. I mean, gives all the reasons in Scripture, the damage it can do to your marriage. But then spent the second 15 minutes or so talking about the redemption of God and how you can be restored. And I mean, this was early. This was early on. It was, it was definitely within the first 6 months. And
Yeah.
because we didn't go to that other church for a full 6 months.
Yeah.
So 4 or 5 months later, I guess. And it doesn't matter. And I'm sitting here thinking.
No, it was actually really close to a year.
Okay.
It was really close to a year, but we were just in a new setting and a new season.
Oh, that's right,
and
because we went
that's
6
right.
months back to you're right. So definitely within a year. Okay. So why do I ever doubt you? You're always right. Okay, so definitely
Y'all hear
less
that?
than a
Everybody
year.
heard that, right? Everybody, can you say that? Repeat. Let me rewind.
And record. Okay, so definitely within the first year. And so the second half was spent on redemption and restoration. And I remember the service coming to a close. They did a, response song. And at our church, we have prayer counselors at the front, and you can go down and pray with somebody at the front. And it's not your typical Southern Baptist church where you go down and, join the church or become a Christian. You can just go down to the altar and pray, or you can just say, I need you to pray for me. And so don't worry, I did not do that. I did not walk down in front of the whole church and the sermon about adultery, but I sobbed through it. I mean, just sobbed. And my dad had his arm around me, and it was intense. Well, at the very end of the service, I'm like, get me out of here. Let's go get the boys and get out of here. And I'm trying to make my way out, and it's super crowded. And I see a girl who I did not know at the front who was a prayer counselor. And she was making a beeline to me and kind of giving it that, finger in the air, like, oh, I want to talk to you, that type, eyebrows raised, And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know her. And am I supposed to know her? All the things. And she comes up and she just bear hugs me. I mean, just the biggest hug. And I just lost it. I started crying, and she looked back, she pulled back and had her arms on my shoulders / arms, and says, I don't know who you are, and I don't know what you've done, but you're welcome here and you are loved. And that was such a powerful moment for me, because I felt seen. I felt valued. I felt welcome. And at that time, we had just spent 6 months in a church where I didn't feel welcome and felt judged all the time. And so it was so refreshing to be in a church and and here you're loved and you're welcome here. And I mean, okay, so her name was Jess. And
Yeah, say her name because I'm about to talk about her.
okay, Jess Followell is who this is. Sorry, Jess, if you didn't want your name on the podcast. And when I tell you, like, she has become one of my dearest friends. And that was what? 14 years ago, 13, 14 years ago. And she is one of my dearest friends. And because she saw me, and she didn't see me as broken, she saw me as someone in need of a savior. I mean, she looked at me and saw brokenness and was like, I have something to offer her. And it's not friendship. It's not anything. It's nothing but Jesus. I can offer you Jesus and for you to know that you're welcome in this place. And so needless to say, we were like, I mean, we already felt like that's where we were supposed to go, but this was just icing on the cake. And I was like, I'm never leaving this place. Like, it was just a powerful experience.
So I think an important part of answering this question is to see how some of these little small things, what they turned into. And so I mentioned that other couple that came to us and said, hey, we want to, have you ever thought of a small group and let's learn something?
And curriculum.
Yeah. And so they, literally are the ones that helped us to birth the Redeemed Marriage.
Yep.
And then I know we don't usually mention names on here, but it's fine because Jess and Robbie Followell, they've become great friends of ours. And I know they don't mind because they actually are on our Redeemed Marriage board. And like what a testimony that 14 years ago, the girl that reached out to you that did not know you at all. And then we developed a friendship with them. And so crazy enough, when we started the Redeemed Marriage several years ago, like officially, somebody stepped up and said, hey, how are y'all going to run this? And we're like, we don't know. We're just sharing our hope, sharing a hope and testimony and all that. And they said, you really should start an organization, which I already have one. But somebody gave us the money and said, y'all go and start a nonprofit and start your ministry and do all that. And so we did. And one of the things that you had to do was you had to have a board.
Yeah.
And
like
so
four members.
Yeah. So we knew that we wanted couples because it was a thing. And so we asked Robbie and Jess to be a part of that. And so
after much prayer and consideration, we asked them.
Yeah.
But they didn't hesitate.
Yeah. And so anyway, I think that that's such an important part of the story because you just don't know the impact that you're going to have on somebody when you show Jesus. You just respond the way Jesus would. And you look back at that and it was it seems like a small thing, like just, oh, I see somebody crying, let me go tell them that I love them. And then here we are 15 years later and, the friendship and not just that, but the support that they give, and just being a part of the Redeemed Marriage. And this is the other plug that I'll throw out there because this is all just so cool. They, this weekend, stepped out into a journey and they opened a coffee shop in our community. It's a cafe, a little diner, coffee shop. It's amazing. It's called Salus Market, and it's going to be incredible for our little community. So if you ever come through to visit us, stop at Salus. If you are in our community, go there right now. Go.
Well,
not today.
Not right. Well, they're not open on Monday.
They're not open on Sundays and Mondays right now. But it's amazing, and we were able to go to the invite the other day, and then we went back. We've already been multiple times. And so, but the thing is, like, just to see people like that are so selfless and then watch them have their own dreams and become successful. And I don't know, I just wanted to be able to say, y'all have heard us tell those stories before, but to throw that name out there and say, go love on this person too.
That's right.
Like,
That's right.
And the other really, really cool thing is our daughter-in-law. Our daughter-in-law is working for them. And she absolutely loves them.
Yep.
And she loves what she's doing. She's only been working for 3 or 4 days. But you just can't make this stuff up. And so the whole reason why I wanted to circle back and kind of give a little bit more story behind that, I think people will go, wow, that's pretty cool. But the girl that really, spoke the most love and encouragement to you that you didn't even know, and now here we are today
That's right.
in the relationship with them. And so I'm just saying the little small things that you guys can do as you're listening to this and you're thinking about somebody that needs some love and encouragement and needs to be shown the hands and feet of Jesus, go do it. And you have no idea 15 years later what kind of impact that's going to have, not just on that person, but potentially the world.
That's right.
And the people that, because those are people that are steps in our process. And if you've now become a step in the process and you've become somebody that's gotten hope from our story, it can be traced back to other people that.
That's right.
So just don't take that for granted. The small things can be huge things. So, hey, thanks guys for listening. We love y'all. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.
Hope for your heart, healing for your home. The Redeemed Marriage Podcast.